Welcome, Veenu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say I am so honored to be here and serve your group because this is the time that it's needed. I've been working with families for over 25 years, and right now is like people are like, what do we do now? What do we do now? And I was like, this is what I've been preparing families for, for opportunities like this to really get to know our kids and figure things out. So regardless whether this is going on or not, there's still things that we deal with in an everyday thing. So I'm not sure if you guys know much about me, but I'm a mom of 6. I carry probably every title of mom. I've been a single mom. I've been a mom just of boys. I'm a mom of multiples. I'm a stepmom. I'm a married mom now. I've been a stay-home mom. I've been a working mom. So I have older kids that are 26 and 21. I'm a grandma. I have a 2-year-old, and I have 7-year-old twins now. So I pretty much have taken like everything I've learned from being all these moms, and I have an educational background in psychology. I was certified in the state of North Carolina as an infant toddler family specialist. So what that entailed was I really looked at the different milestones it takes for a child to meet at a certain level. So I would go into homes and I would write, they were called IFSPs, individual family service plans. So I'd really look at the needs and I'd write according to the state. So I got out of that because what I realized is that what they called best practice was not helping the children. It was not helping with these behaviors. And I really looked at the fact that we were constantly just looking at the effects and not getting to the cause. So I delved deeper. I'm actually a trainer for Tony Robbins, and I've been working, I've been mentored by him for many, many years. So I've taken everything I've learned and I've created my own program. Some people like to call it conscious parenting. We have so many labels of parenting. So for just tonight, I'm going to take every label off because it doesn't matter. The way that we parent, the way we show up is a behavior, and our kids are a reflection of that. So as I said in my little paper, that I was going to just start out with giving you guys some information. If you guys have a pen and paper and you guys want to take notes, that's great. Feel free to put in the chat any questions that you have for me. I did have a few questions that Anna already sent to me, so I will address those too. And then we'll just open it up for you guys so I could specifically help you and where you're at right now. So just diving in, looking at the 5 steps on how to get a kid to listen. So this is one of the most common things that when I go into a home, this is what's happening. So, it doesn't matter what age. So let's just say anywhere from 18 months to 5 years, right? Because about 18 months, your kids are learning how to walk and talk and putting everything together. They're into everything. They know how to dump things out. And you're like, I wish I could just put them back in. So, we're looking at all these different aspects of developmental learning, cognitive learning, fine motor learning, and, even looking at sensory things, right? So when it doesn't matter what age your child is, when they're in the opportunity to say, can you pick that up? And then have them respond. So first of all, when you give an instruction to your child, they need to respond to you in 3 to 5 seconds. In 3 to 5 seconds, their brain is able to take the information of what you said, they're able to comprehend it, and they're able to respond or lack thereof, right? So one of the families that I worked with, I would go to their house every Tuesday and we would work on, it was called receptive language skills, right? So receptive language skills are one of our milestones. Language, we have expressional language and receptive. So receptive is how do they receive the information and what do they do with that? So when I would go into the home, and that was one of the skills, is that, Johnny will follow directions when given by his mother on a daily basis. And so one of the things that I would work with, I would like get puzzles out and I would say, okay, put this here. And, he would look at me, or he'd take the puzzle and he'd throw the puzzle piece out. And just to give you a reference, Johnny is 2 years old. So I would say, oh, okay. So I just take another puzzle piece. I'm like, no, we're going to put it right here. And he would look at me. Sometimes he would chuck it at me. He has spit in my face. And mom's like, oh, gosh, no, I'm so sorry. And I said, oh. I said, it's okay. And I've spit like literally running down my face, because what was Johnny telling me with his behavior? Did he hear me? Yes, he did. Did I have his attention? Yes, I did. But could I get him to engage with me? No, I could not. And, so I'm telling you this is like way pre what I'm doing now. This is when I would just work for the state. I was going by what best practice was. So what I noticed is that when Johnny's mom would pay attention when he spit at me or threw things at me or whatever, he would do it more. So I finally said to her, I said, Maria, can you do me a favor? I said, if he spits at me or hits me, don't worry about it. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, no, seriously, don't worry about it. And I will tell you, doing it just 2 times, saying, and just using this. So this is hand over hand. Like if this is the puzzle piece, I take my hand, I put it over his, I pick it up and I put it in. So now I said, Johnny, we're going to put this puzzle piece. And as I'm saying it, I'm taking his hand and he's like trying to struggle away. And I'm like, and we're going to put it right here. And as soon as he put it in, I'm like, oh, good job. You did it. What a good boy, Johnny. And I say, okay, we're going to take this puzzle piece as I'm picking it up and putting it here. And we're going to put it right here. And I would praise him again. And so now he's getting the tool, the hang of it. So now I'm like, oh, we're going to take this. Now I'm just pointing and he's picking it up and he took it. And what did he do? He spit in my face again. So now I have spit coming down this side. I'm not wiping it up. Immediately I take his hand. I'm like, good job. Good putting it in. Now, I know that's hard for some people to have spit running down your face. And it was for me too. I'm going to just tell you that right now. And my outcome was, how could I get this child to listen to me, to follow directions? How do I know that he will consistently follow my directions? Because what I found out is it wasn't his receptive skills. He wanted control. So write this down. Kids temper tantrum for 2 reasons. They either want control or they want attention. And sometimes it's both. So that's one of the things that he was doing. He wanted control. So as soon as he saw that mom wasn't paying attention to the spitting, I wasn't either. I was now taking his hand and I was doing the 3rd time. Oh, we're going to put that in right there. The next 3 pieces, all I had to do is point and he put and he put and he put. Why? Because he knew that throwing the pieces, spitting in my face, nobody gave him attention for it. What we gave him attention for was when he did the right thing. So if he wanted control or if he wanted attention, he realized that he had control because my hand wasn't over his anymore when he just listened. So that was his reward. His reward was his own internal, like, oh, I have control. I'll put the piece in and yay, she praises me. And I did not give him any attention for spit in my face. That child never, ever spit in my face again. He never threw a puzzle piece at me again. And he started to listen. So then mom says, well, you know what? Every time you're here on Tuesdays or whatever day I would go, she's like, Johnny listens to you so well. Like, I'm not understanding why I can't do that. So I said, okay, well, show me what's going on. And she would say, okay, so Johnny takes and dumps his toys out. And she goes, Johnny, go pick up your toys. He didn't look at her. And she'd say, Johnny, go pick up your toys. He's not even paying attention to her. And she would say it again 3 times. Then she would get up, because how many of us parents will say it over and over again, and then finally when we get up, our kids are like, oh gosh, mom means serious, let me go do it. So that's what was happening. We train the brain that they get 3 chances. It's not until we make movement and we move out to go help them or make them do it that they're like, oh, she's serious. So it's so important, first of all, get their attention. Make sure their eye contact. Like one of my twins, like he has sensory issues. So to this day, when he talks to you, like if he's like saying, thank you, he's like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, eyes, give me eyes. Because I need to know that I have his attention. So that is the first thing. Make sure you have your child's attention. If they're watching TV, shut the TV off. If they're playing a game, come and just take their hands, just gently be like, hey, I'm talking to you. Do it in a loving, neutral way so they're not feeling judged or they don't feel they're in trouble. And then the second thing is, how do you get them to engage with you? How do you know they're really engaging and hearing you? The one thing, like I said just now, is eye contact. Make sure you're able to get their eye contact. Make sure that, just because they looked away from the TV when you call their name, they're not like, oh, where's the TV again? You want them to be engaged with you so you can actually say, this is what we need to do. And that comes down to the 3rd step, to request. So a lot of parents say, especially as they get older, when they can help with the groceries or whatever, they say, can you go get the groceries out? And the kid doesn't do it. And so I was in a home working with a client, and I constantly saw her say to the kid, can you please? Can you please? And the child would say no. And she looked at me, she goes, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, number one, don't ask, can you? Don't ask, can you, unless you're willing to accept a no. Because, when you're saying, can you, as a parent, we would like them. We have an expectation they're going to say yes, but if they're not saying yes and they're not doing it, that strategy is not working. So it's really about our language. So when you request it, so if it's a 2-year-old, you're not going to say, can you? You're going to say, let's help mommy. Let's help mommy clean this up. Let's help mommy put the shoes away. Let's help mommy, because a lot of kids, even at 2 and 3, I know my kids always wanted to come help with groceries. So I'd give them like the bread or something, and I'd say, okay, let's go. Let's help mommy, get the groceries. But it was always let's. So, I teach a lot on leadership, and leadership isn't sitting back and saying, you do this, you do this, you do this. Leadership is saying, hey, look, we're going to do this. And you lead by example. So that's the same thing. So imagine if you have a 1.5-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, or so on, and you're already teaching them this. I call these teachable moments. We don't have to take classes to be leaders. We can learn from the beginning how to be a leader just by what we do, by what our parents say to us. So if at 2 years old, I'm constantly seeing my mom say, okay, let's go do this. And she's doing it with me. And as I'm getting older, guess what I'm going to do when I'm in high school or middle school? I'm always going to be a let us, and I'm going to lead by example. That is how we create natural leaders. We teach them how to lead without dictating to them. So when you request with your children, just remember, it depends on the age level, how you're going to say it. But stop. I would not, if you're doing it now, I would, change it. And if you're not doing it yet, I would definitely get in the habit of saying, let's do this, or we need to do this, or when you get that done, then we can do this. So, you're not really, and you're getting the same outcome. Actually, you're probably going to get a better outcome because they're probably going to listen to you better, right? And they're going to do what you've asked them to do because you've insinuated they're going to do it already. You're not waiting for them to say, oh, no, I'm not, or ignore you. So the fourth thing I think is the most important thing. When I was working with another family, she would say, my husband does not hear me. And I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't hear you? And I don't know how many of y'all are married or how many of y'all are single, but I've been single and I'm married now. And I can tell you, even today, I told my husband, I said, this stuff needs to be pictured and in Zoom on the kids' platform so they get credit for it. And he's like, okay, I understand. 2 hours later, I get done with one of my coaching clients and I come downstairs and I'm like, were you able to download everything? He's like, download what? And I said, the homework. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, I asked you 2 hours ago if you would take a picture and download this onto the platform. And you said you understood. He's like, oh. He's like, well, I took a picture. Prime example. So one of the techniques that you can use with your kids, your older kids, your spouse, and this is such a huge thing with communication. When you ask something, ask them right after, what did you hear me say? Can you let me know what you just heard? Because see, we all have different filters. If we have a filter of, I'm so busy, I can put nothing on my plate, that's how we're going to interpret that information, and that's how we're going to react to it. So I'm sure, I don't know what he was doing, when I asked him, but I'm sure something was going on that he deleted the whole in his mind that he had to download it into the platform. Because when we have filters, we either delete, generalize, or distort the information. So the same thing with our kids. If the kids are like, PJ Masks is on, and that's their favorite show, and you're asking them during their favorite show, and they're going to say, okay, you know what? After PJ Masks, we need to get our shoes on because we need to go. Obviously not now, but hopefully when we get to that norm. And they're like, okay. And then PJ Masks is over, you're getting your shoes on, and they're still doing something. You're like, hey, what happened? Like, I told you to get your shoes on. They didn't hear you. They totally deleted that information because their filter was like, I'm on my favorite show right now. So even if you ask, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, tell mommy what you heard. They will repeat it in their way. And this gives you an opportunity to negate any type of power struggle with your kids. Because if they repeat it, after PJ Masks, I get my shoes on. Yes, good job. Now you know they heard what you said. Now, as they get older, you might want to ask them, what does that mean to you? You know, especially when you're getting into like the 6, 7, 8-year-old range, because now they're getting like little chores and stuff, and they're getting like rewards for it, you know, because we're starting to teach them responsibility. So you might want to ask them what that means to you. But again, that's kind of like an older kid skill, because we just want to know, you know, a kid may say, oh, you wanted me to do that? Yes. And he did it a totally different way. So again, that would negate any type of, you know, issues coming down the line, especially when they're teenagers. So the last thing is I am a person, like, I definitely do consequences, and I'm more of a reward parent. So I rather set my child up to win. I rather teach my children at a younger age that everything we do in life is to gain something, right? Like, I would not go to work every single day of my life if I was never going to get a paycheck. You know, my paycheck was my reward. So with kids, how do we start to install that? We start to install that by teaching them rewards now. If you do this, you get that. And I'm going to tell you, the younger you start this out with, the easier it is. Like, I have been doing this. So I'm going to be very like real and raw with you guys, if that's okay. When I had my 2 boys that are 26 and 21, this was not my parenting style. I wish I did have me in my life back then, because I see the results of constantly yelling 20,000 times to get what I wanted, doing consequences, grounding them, taking their cell phone, turning no TV time, like everything was consequence, consequence, consequence. I don't even know if I ever set up a reward for my child, you know, because I did not know. And now it's, I say God gave me a do-over by giving me twins later on in life. And, you know, even my boys tell me, like, Mom, you are such a different parent to them. And all I can say is, thank God. You know, like, one of the things that we do is we don't label our kids. We never tell our kids, you're being bad. You're being bad. That is not good. No, no, no. You're being bad. I used to, but now even my twins will tell me, they're like, you know, Samuel he didn't make good choices at school today. Your kid is not bad. If you tell your kid is bad, guess what? You're giving them that identity. They're going to continue to be that way. Their behaviors are going to reflect what bad means. So it's so important that we are giving our kids the proper identity. My daughter-in-law would tell me when I get my granddaughter's 2, and she's a feisty little thing. And she says, oh, she's just mean. She is just mean. And I said, what do you mean she's mean? She goes, oh, she'll like hit me in the face, or she'll take things and, you know, chuck them at me. And so I said, oh, okay. And so I'd get her for like 3 days. And when I returned her, I would be like, I didn't see those behaviors. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she never tried to hit me in the face. She never threw anything at me, you know? And then like I'd FaceTime with her and I would see what was happening. As soon as my little granddaughter Harper did something, the mom would be like, see, and she would giggle. The 2-year-old thinks it's a game. She didn't realize, like, hey, I shouldn't be hitting mommy in the face, or I shouldn't throw things at mommy in the face. You know, I mean, kids at that age are just starting to learn emotions. So whether we're like, ah, or we're like, ah, they don't know the difference. They just see the same facial expression and they think it's a game. So if you give that behavior attention, guess what's going to happen? It's going to keep growing and growing. So again, just to recap, the 5 steps to get your child to listen. First, get their attention. Make sure they're listening to you. Second, make sure they're very engaged. You know, they're not paying attention to something else, so you know they're listening to you. Third, make sure you're using the right way to request them to do things. You know, insinuate, let's do this. We're going to do that. Please do this, instead of can you or will you. The fourth thing is verify with them what they heard. You know, what did mommy say? You know, at 2 years old, your children should have a vocabulary of 200 words. Some kids do, some kids don't. I know that my kids at 2-year-old did not have that, and I just had to work on that with them. But I did teach them to sign. You know, they were twins, they were preemies. So I just made sure they had a way of communicating with me, simple sign language. And then, but as they created their vocabulary, you know, they were still able to tell me what they heard. And then the last thing is, you know, make sure there's a reward for them. It could be praise, it could be a gummy, like it doesn't matter. Just whatever is going to light them up and feel like, wow, I did that. Because the other thing with all these steps, it's really teaching our kids how to internally know, A, they're good enough, that they're enough, and 2, that they're loved. You know, this is what creates boundaries and safety for kids. So that's all I want to really say about that, because I really want to get to these questions and see if you guys have any questions. Anybody have questions about anything I've said? Can I clarify anything for anybody? No? Okay. Again, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat and I will answer them. So, and if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go ahead and dive into these questions that we got.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So one of the questions I got is increasing listening, setting a schedule and sticking to it, helping kids when they feel cooped up and lonely from the longevity in this shelter in. So with kids, I have always said the most important thing for children, especially when you're looking at the milestones for kids from birth to 3, is social emotional. I will tell you, there's so many clients that I went into homes and their younger kids were at home with them because the mom didn't work and they're like, oh, we didn't want daycare. And I'm going to tell you, one of the strategies I gave them, I'm like, you need a good daycare. You need a daycare that's structured. You need a daycare that has the same values you do. And I don't care if you put them in 2 days a week or 3 days a week, because the social emotional development of a child, to me, in all my experience, is the most important thing you can give your child from birth to 3, and actually birth to 5. But I was a specialist birth to 3. You know, because that is when their brain is learning the most. That is when their brain is absorbing the most. This is where they're really learning their character, their identity. You know, I am learning the whole DISC profile. So it's, you know, characteristics, like how people communicate and whatnot. And so this is where they're learning it. You know, this is where they're learning, like, am I a leader? Am I a follower? You know, am I shy? Am I outgoing? You know, and like if the shy kids are shy, what has to happen to get them more social? So especially right now is the most crucial time. So a friend of mine said, hey, do you know about Kid Messenger on Facebook? And I'm like, oh, my kids aren't doing Facebook. And she says, no, it's Kid Messenger. And it comes through your Facebook. So you're able to, you know, do whatever. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And so what we're doing now is, I chose not to download it on my kid's tablet just because I got enough going on. I can't figure out, like, if they're on it, monitoring their stuff and monitoring mine. So what I have done though is I have downloaded it for them on one area. So I monitor that and I give them hours and I know exactly who's on that. And they will share little pictures and, you know, stuff. And like my kids are 7, so they like peck at the keyboard, right? For those that are younger though, like, you know, 2-year-old and whatnot, I even offered this strategy I'm giving you right now to my daughter-in-law. I said, get on a Zoom with another mom. Like, I'm sure a lot of you, maybe you guys know each other, maybe you don't. This would be a good time to get to know each other. Get on a Zoom call like this and get your kids in front of each other. You know, if you have slime and you have slime and I have slime, guess what the kids can do together? They could slime together in front of the camera. You're still in front of them. I mean, because if you think about it, we're not social distancing. We're physically distancing. That doesn't mean we can't be social. So find out, like, you know, I have a parent group on Facebook called Parents Uncensored, Real and Raw. And like, I found this great recipe for moon dough. That's not slime. That's not going to get stuck in your carpet or in your hair or any of that stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to put it on my parent group. Because if I can get my kids engaged and there's other parents that have their kids engaged, I can put them on a video and so they could see each other and talk to each other. You know, especially when they're little, like a year and a half to 2 years, they're just getting out of that parallel play and they're getting more into the engaged play, right? So, I mean, it's a great opportunity for all of us, you know, and so my daughter-in-law's like, well, like she's not going to sit still. I said, so what? So get on a chat with the mom, get a cup of coffee. And you know what? The kids will zoom by, just like if you were at their house. Because if you're out, I said, when you're at your friend's house, does your child sit with you? No. What does she do? She zooms by. So why is it different? And guess what? It's a bonus for you because now you're getting that communication, with another adult too. So, social emotional is so important, even for us adults. I did a group coaching last night and I'm like, I gave 5 tips on how to keep your sanity during this time. And one of them was you have to self-care. You have got to give your guys some grace right now. I'm telling all parents, give yourself some grace. If your TV is on 3-5 hours longer, maybe 10 hours longer than it normally is, we're not normal right now. It is okay. What I'm saying is do it with boundaries. Do it with boundaries. Do it with I understand we're leaving the TV on, but as soon as we go back to school, tell me what's going to happen. And even if they're at 2 or 3, no TV, no TV. My 2-year-old tells me that. She goes, Mimi, no TV. I said, yeah, no TV when you go back to school, no TV. In their own language, they can tell you. So make sure no matter what you're lenient on right now, don't beat yourself up for it. Don't think that you're a horrible parent because you're allowing this to go on. Give yourself some grace. If they're in the bathtub for 15 minutes extra, playing with the crayons and stuff, if they're older, of course, that's okay. Take that moment to just have that breather. Even if you're sitting right outside peeking in, just being able to just sit without that kid and just breathe. Self-care is so important. Another question was, how do you share the responsibility? So I did have a question on that. I don't know if that person's on this call or not, but I was just curious with that, how old is the child that you're asking, how do you share responsibilities in the house? Is it for your child, your younger one, your older one, your spouse, specifically about that question? If you want to maybe put it in the chat or unmute yourself and talk to me about it, that's okay too. Let's see, okay, we have some more questions in here too. Okay, I'll give that person, I don't even know if they're on the call. So if you are, please just put it in the chat. Another question was, I'd really like to know how to set up a nap schedule or get my 2-year-old to nap sometimes in the afternoon. When she doesn't have some rest during the day, she becomes fussy at night. Okay, so my question, again, I can tell you guys advice, but if I don't have what's going on, it's hard for me to, give you a deeper strategy. I can give you tips, but I'm not sure. It just depends. What time are they going to bed at night? What's their morning schedule like? That's the other thing to keep your sanity. Make sure there's a schedule. If you guys are getting up a little later or whatever because you have nowhere to go, that's fine. But again, if you used to get up at 6 o'clock, get ready, and then get your child ready, and then out the door by 8 to get them to daycare, and you're just moving that up because you're not going to daycare now or, whatever, just make sure there's still a schedule. So what's going to happen after you get them up? Is it brush their teeth, get dressed, eat breakfast, and then have an activity? What's that activity going to look like? Are you going to have a sensory activity? Are they going to play with rice and bury things in rice and have them find it in rice? That's really exciting. And it's also tactile, and it's also sensory stuff. You can make Jell-O, hide things in Jell-O and have them search for it in Jell-O. Again, sensory stuff, and it's exciting to kids. Get some beads. If you don't have beads, you can get a shoelace and get buttons and have them string buttons. It's fine motor skills. Anything that's going to engage them from birth to 5, that's going to help motivate their milestones. Set that schedule, and if the TV's on while they're doing it, so what? Let the TV be on. And if you have to make a little desk right there so you can do some work, that's okay too. You're still there. I get how hard it is to have young kids at home, especially, daycare, younger kids, and trying to work. I get it. Even though my kids are 7, I still get it. That's why I'm like, okay, my kids are upstairs. I don't know how long they're going to be up there. They might run through this. It's just a different time we're in. So again, just give yourself grace. and set that schedule. And then after they do that learning opportunity, what's next? Do they get snack? What are we going to do for snack? Give them choices. Again, you'll have less temper tantruming if you're not saying, hey, this is what you're going to have. You'll have less temper tantruming if you're not giving them 10 choices. Give them 2 choices. Do you want A? Do you want B? And if they don't want any, take it away. If they cry, so what? Tomorrow they won't cry. And tomorrow they'll take one of those choices because they realize you're going to follow through and be consistent. That is the biggest key. That's what I see with every family is follow through and consistency. I just put on my Instagram, the 3 ways to have lasting change is follow through, consistency, and accountability. And I don't care what age your child is at, those 3 steps will always work. So when you're looking at nap time, again, after snack, what happens? It's nap time, okay? If that is your nap time, first of all, what does their room look like? Does their room have lots of toys in it? Does it have, things that they can get into? When I go into homes, that's one of the things like, oh, my kid doesn't sleep. I'm like, okay, so I go in the room. They have all their stuffed animals there. They have all their toys in that corner. They have books. Well, if they're not tired and they turn the light on, start playing, well, what are you going to do? And I have literally, because I move in with families, for 4 days, I have my program where I move in. And in those 4 days, I'm like moving everything out of that kid's room. And guess what happens on day 3 and 4? That kid has an amazing sleep pattern because there's nothing else to do but to lay down and sleep. He has cried it out. We have not gone in there. When a child screams and screams and screams, you go in there because you want to give them the security of like, I'm here for you. When you need me, I will be here for you. And they cry and you go in, you check on them, you're like, what do you need? And they'll, I'm not tired. Honey, I hear you. You want to make sure you tell, I hear you. You're not tired. And it's rest time. It's rest time. And then you shut the door and let them have it. Whether they sleep or not, if there's nothing to play in their room, guess what they're going to do? They're going to calm down. They're going to relax. And that's really what nap time is about, right? Slowing down the body, giving them time to just relax with the body. I've worked in daycares many, many years ago, and we had nap time at daycares. There was like 3 students that would not nap at all, but they learned that they still had to stay on their mat. As long as they stood on their mat, they were fine. And it worked. And they didn't nap and they still rested. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. You can like reach out to me and I can go in deeper with you and I can actually look at. So as a behavior specialist, it's not just my kid won't do this. I have lots of questions. I want to know like what is happening before. I want to know what the behavior is. I want to know what you have done. I want to know how they respond. I want to know how you respond to them responding or reacting. And then I can actually tell you what the behavior is saying, why they're doing it, and why it's not working for you. But if I don't have enough information, all I can do is kind of give you the tips that you can read on the internet, right? So if you feel like these are some generic, please put in here, just give me some detail and I will personally, give you what you need right now. But I just need some more detail so I can really help support you to make the change. Because, it's so funny. I spent on my Pinterest today. I was just setting it up. I said, change is great, but sustainable change is what we're looking for. And with sustainable change, the only way you're going to do it is consistency, follow through, and accountability, and knowing how to create that in your life. And if you take my tips tonight and you don't have teenagers yet, you will thank me in 10, 15 years when you have teenagers. Because if you do this, it's going to be so much easier with your teenagers. The next question I had, and Anna, just keep track of my time because I can keep going and going. I love giving information. So I want to respect everybody's time though. My 2-year-old toddler really fights diaper changes. In particular in the morning, and clothing changes, and it can quickly escalate to a tantrum. Okay, so there's a few things there because I don't have all the information, so I'm going to kind of mind read right now. So there's a few things you want to look at with diaper changing. One of the things is it a sensory thing? So one of my clients, was on the autism spectrum, And as they got older, it was just like a night and day thing. Like one day it was okay to change their diaper and the next day they were having fits. So I watched mom and I said, so what happened? Because, you know, last week he was fine. She goes, I don't know. Just like on, you know, I was there Tuesday and then Friday, she goes, I don't know. Like all of a sudden he just fit. And then on Saturday he fit. And on Sunday he fit. And on Monday, now you're here, you're watching him fit on Tuesday. And I said, what do you do when he fits? She goes, well, you know, he wants to stand up. And, you know, I'm trying to lay him down. I'm trying to lay him down. He wants to stand up and I'm trying to lay him down. And I'm like, so what's happening? Like, are you getting the diaper on? And she goes, eventually. And I'm like, well, how are you doing it? And she says, with standing up. I said, so why are you going through all the fighting with him? Just stand him up and put the diaper on because that's what you're going to do anyway. You know, is there a law that says we have to put the diaper on with them laying down? Because there's not. Do what's going to help you and help them. Because obviously something was going on, you know, with him laying down. He didn't want it. You know, so what's the outcome? Always go back to yourself. What's the outcome? Okay, so that's a sensory thing. Another thing is, like I said, control. Are they at the age where they're all of a sudden going, oh, I want control. Oh, she's not going to change my diaper today. You know, I'm glad that she was my mom yesterday, but today I'm Mr. Independent. You know, you're not going to do it. And the thing is you have to really look at yourself and say, okay, if it's about control and you give into that control, you are now teaching your child they're going to be in control. So the more that you just, you know, what I would personally do is I would get them distracted, like give them something to have in their hand, turn on a TV, you know, do they have a favorite stuffed animal? You know, one of my clients that had some issues, you know, he had, I think he called it a nubby. It was a stuffed animal. And I just said, you know what, we're going to give him Nubby and we're going to tell him, you know, you can have Nubby, but we're going to change your diaper. And when he would throw a fit, I'm like, oh, I need Nubby. I got to hold Nubby now. And now all of a sudden he wasn't crying about the diaper. He was crying for Nubby. And I'm like, oh, crying's all done. Crying is all done. And when he would calm down, I would say, okay, you want Nubby? Good job. Here's Nubby. And guess what? He didn't cry again. I changed his diaper. And we did that consistently. And now, well, not now, but you know, then the parent was able to change his diaper just by making sure he had Nubby. We just redirected what he was doing. He still felt he was in control, right? Because I got Nubby now, so go ahead, change my diaper because I'm in control. I got Nubby. And it's kind of like I call it controlled control. Control the control you want to give them. Because if we give them control, they won't have to take it through their behavior. So you have to really look at where are they wanting control and how are they getting it or how are you giving it? That's a big thing. Are they getting it by taking it or are you giving it? And then the last thing here, and then I'll get into the chat, was how do you build resilience? So resilience is interesting because if you look at the definition of resilience, it's bouncing back from something that has happened, like a traumatic thing that has happened or whatever, you know? But for me, and working with kids for all these years, I say, you know what resilience is? Resilience is making mistakes, finding out another way to do it and being better and not making the mistake again. So when I was thinking about that, when I got this question today, I was like, so what are some examples? So imagine when a child, any of us, learned how to walk, not one of us, I mean, I'm assuming, not one of us fell and said, oh, God, that hurt. I'm never walking again. No. We found tools to support us in what we needed. Maybe we held onto a couch longer or a table longer or a chair longer. Whatever it took, we found a resource that helped us. And now we do it better than ever because we're not falling down. That's resilience. Think about when we rode a bike. I don't know about you, but I used to fall off a bike a lot when I started to learn how to ride. I had some, you know, scabs on my knees, you know, or skating. Never once did I say, wow, I'm bleeding. I'm never doing that again. No, I got resourceful, even at 6 years old or 5. I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was 4. I don't know. But the thing is like, I remember specifically having this like little porch that I'd be like, okay, if I just put my foot on here, I can push off. And I would keep doing it and doing it. And I got so good at it, I didn't need that porch anymore. That's resilience. So what's happening now? We're in coronavirus. We are stuck in our house. we are not going anywhere. And we don't know how long. It depends. From what I'm hearing, I don't listen to the news because I think it's just so negative. I can't even deal with it. So according to governors, some will let us go out Monday. I don't know. But the point is, we are where we are. We have to change our mindset, first of all. Okay? We can make this our prison, or we can make this our opportunity. How we show up for our kids right now, and I don't care how old your kids are, they're feeling your energy. So if you're showing up in crisis like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And am I going to do this? And am I going to have money? And am I going to do this? Your kids are going to react the same way you are. But if you show up saying, you know what, it is what it is, so let's figure this out. You know, let me call my credit card company, let me call my mortgage company, let me call my bank. You know, if I can get a couple things deferred, that's an extra $800, you know, okay, great. And then you're going to figure out, and you're going to get creative. You know, you're going to get creative on how can I make money? How can I do this? How can I have fun? If you always ask yourself when you have a problem, what is the opportunity here? Don't look at it as a problem. What is the opportunity? You'll never have a problem again. And all of a sudden your mind will go to solution, to solution, to solution. If your child comes to you at 3 years old and say, Mommy, what are we going to do? Like, are we ever going to get out of our house? And say, you know, I don't know. That's a great question. But what if we didn't? What else could we do? Like, we've done this for 3 weeks. What else can we do? Get on Pinterest, get on Google, get on, you know, parent groups, you know, talk with each other, start your own group. Hey, what are you guys doing? You know, I have this thing like, you know, this is what I did. In the comments, say what you're doing so I can get an abundance of resources for families. You know, we just need to turn our uncertainty into creativity. We need to do the same thing for our kids. So resilience comes from feeling safe. And if that's the truth, how do we install safety in our children right now? How do they feel safe about this? You know, some of the questions are like, is my grandma going to get it and die? You know, did somebody get coronavirus from eating a bat? First of all, know your facts and talk to them. Because if you start to lie about it, you are already teaching them that if they don't want you to know the truth, they can tell a story too, and it's going to be okay. So again, the way you show up is how they're going to show up. So really, really look at how you're showing up. Like, don't look at the past. Don't look at how you've shown up for the last 3 weeks. Today's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day. You're going to wake up and God's going to give you a new day to do a redo. So what is your tomorrow going to look like? So I would invite you guys tonight, after you get off this call, just sit down and look at your day schedule. Tomorrow's Saturday and then Sunday. You know, if you guys have a break day and it's free for all, great. Okay, so then I would like you guys to plan your Monday. You know, take massive action. Nothing will change in your life by thinking about it or writing it out going, oh, that's a good idea. The only thing that changes in your life is when you actually take massive action. You know, that is why, like, when I move in with families for 4 days, they're like, why do you do 4 days and why do you move in? I said, because the people who invest in changing their lives with me, they're going to have massive action. This is not just a take some notes and my life is going to be better. This is like, I need to change my family now. Because when I'm staying there and I'm working 50 to 60 hours straight without a break for 4 days with you in your home, I promise you, you have massive change, because it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Now you do it. Now you do it. Nope, that's not how we're doing it. Look, you just enabled that. Look at how she responded to you. Why did she respond to you that way and she didn't respond to me that way? You know, and I'm not the super nanny, because the super nanny is like, oh, let's teach you how to do timeout. That's not how you do timeout. I don't do timeout. What I do is I help kids get real with their feelings. If you are mad, be mad. Right before we got on this call, my 7-year-old was here and she's like, I just don't know why Daddy is butting into my business. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, every time I'm out there with Sam, her twin brother, it's a love-hate relationship, Dad has to butt in. Why is he butting in? I'm like, what is it that Dad's doing? He's stopping me. Stopping you from what? For being with Sam. I said, what is Sam saying? She's like, he's telling me he wants his alone time. I'm like, are you listening to him? She's like, no. And she goes, it just makes me mad. Guess what I did? I took 5 minutes. I processed what mad meant to her, and they were fine. My children know their emotions. My children do not have time out. When my children, and they throw temper tantrums, but when they're having a temper tantrum, I'm like, where do we need to do that? Because I don't know about you all, but my room is my safe haven. That's where I cry. That's where I laugh. That's where I'm angry. Like, that's like the room of emotions for me. I've taught my kids that too. If you are so entitled to your emotions, but do it there. And I started this with them at 1 year old. At 1 year old, when the real temper tantrums were starting, because in that moment they're confused, like, do I cry for what I want still, or do I talk for what I want now? You know, it's in that transition time. I started then, that when you have this emotion, you need to go to your room, and when you're ready to talk about that and tell me what you're feeling, come out. It could be 5 minutes. It could be a minute. It could be an hour. Maybe they fell asleep. Who knows? But I allow them to own that. And now that they're 7, almost 8, I don't have that. I do not have, like, they still, don't get me wrong, they still have their moments, but they do it in their room. And when they're done, if I'm down here or if I'm in my room, they'll come knock on my door and they're like, can I tell you why I'm mad? Please, by all means, let me know what that was all about. And they do it. So again, I'm not saying I'm like the perfect mom, because, you know, I'm still a yeller and I'm still working on that. But I've also taught them that if you want something, you need to say something. Don't do it through behavior, because I can't help you then. So, okay. So let's go to the chat and let's see what we got going on. Do we still have time? We're running out of time. Do you want me to stop? Do you want me to continue? What do you want me to do, Anna?
If possible, let's do like for another 10 minutes or something, right?
Okay. Let's go. So my daughter still wakes up around midnight almost every night looking for a bottle. She's 2. Any suggestions on getting this to stop? Wean her cold turkey. She wails if she doesn't get it. I realize we taught her to do this. Bottle, sippy cup of cow milk at this point. Okay. So again, I can give you my 2 cents. First of all, I'd get her off cow milk. Please feel free to Google why cow milk is not great for kids. It creates a lot of behavior. It's almost like an opium addiction. Again, I did not know that when I raised my other boys. They were cow milk drinkers. My twins have never had cow milk. I mean, they may have it like in a yogurt or something, but they do not drink it. They do not just guzzle down. We do almond milk, but there's different types of milks that give you the calcium that you're looking for. My kids are fine. They're healthy. So that's the first thing is, and if you still want to do cow milk, that's okay too. My next question is, how much cow milk are you giving them? You know, I was one of the families I worked with in Wisconsin for 4 days. That kid literally went through a gallon of milk a day because he would cry. They would give him milk. He would cry. They would give him milk. He would cry. They'd give him milk. And I was like, and like day 1, just so you know, is me just observing so I could see what's going on. And day 2, I'm in charge. So I'm like, okay, so we're not going to do milk. And we're going to do a schedule for milk. Like, we're going to do, you know, whatever the milk they chose. I think they chose like a, oh gosh, I don't even know, soy milk or something. So we did it at breakfast. We did a little bit at snack. We did a cup at lunch, and they got a cup before bed, like at dinner time. And after dinner time, they were not allowed to have anything else to drink because, again, potty training at night. If you're potty training at night, your child should not be drinking anything after 6 o'clock. You know, and if they're going to bed at 7, you want to change that time even lower. You know, it should be like 2 hours before bed, nothing. You want to get your kid's brain to develop and birth to 5. The first thing that you should have in the morning is 8 ounces of water. Rehydrate your child. Teach your child to drink water. My kids love water. We didn't do juice. I did water because I want their brain to grow in the right way. Our body is water. Teach our kids to drink water. They'll drink water. Whatever we teach them, they teach. I have magic skills for getting your kids to eat if they're picky eaters because we train them to be picky eaters. So the other thing is, what happens when she cries? What happens? Like, so at midnight, she doesn't get it. Then what happens? You know, is she going to cry for 8 hours? Because first of all, one thing as parents is, for us, we know they've been crying for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. They have no idea how long they've been crying. They have no idea. So if tonight they cried for 10 minutes, you're like, oh gosh, I'm tired. Let me just go get her a bottle. Okay. Tomorrow, they know the formula. Let me cry again. They don't know it's only 10 minutes because now you're like, oh no, I'm going to be tough today. Like, I'm okay. I got this tonight. An hour later, you're like, oh God, I don't have this. It's been an hour now. So you go give a bottle. Again, you know it's been last night 10 minutes, tonight an hour. They have no idea. All they know is cry equals bottle. Cry equals bottle. So there is no weaning. You either do it or you don't. And to be honest with you, you're going to create more issues with oral stuff if they're still on a bottle or sippy cup. You really need to get straws. Like at 12 months old, at 1 year old, you need to get cups that have straws, because what it does to the tongue thrust for language development, what it does to the mouth is not great. Again, I didn't know that for my older boys. And so, most of my kids had pacifiers, and you're just done at a year. Like, first of all, if you're walking, your pacifier is not walking in your mouth. Like, it's for bed. And then at a year and a half, at 18 months, the pacifier was gone. Did I have a couple sleepless nights? Absolutely. Was I tired? Absolutely. And it was gone. And they had the straws. They learned how to drink out of straws. And one of them still has a speech impediment. You know, he's still in speech therapy for like 5 years, you know, because he has that tongue thrust, you know, and we're trying to teach him how to pull that tongue back so he doesn't have that lifts. So, okay, the next question. I'm a mom of a 19-month-old girl and 4-month baby boy. Oh, so cute. She is starting hitting and throwing, I believe, for attention. Should I ignore her behavior? Okay, so again, is she throwing toys at him? Is she trying to hurt him? Or is it like you're holding him? Are you feeding him? And that's when she does it. Like, I would want to know, when is she doing it? Is it an all-time thing? When did it start? And just write these questions down, because if we run out of time, I'll give you my contact information. You know, email me. I'll help you. So when did it start? Who is it towards? Is it all the time? Is it a certain time? I mean, because you'd be surprised. I've worked with clients where the kids are just doing it in the morning and then not at night. Well, at night, dad's home. In the morning, mom's home. So you really want to look at that, right? So, and then I can give you more, because if they're just throwing it for attention, absolutely ignore it. Absolutely ignore it. And honestly, if they keep doing it and you're ignoring it, so then you got to change your approach. If they threw the toy, I'd go pick it up like, oh, it looks like Bear needs a timeout. So I put the bear up so they can see Bear, you know, and then 2 minutes later, she takes the car and she chucks the car. I'd get up, go get the car. I wouldn't even say anything to her. Go get the car and say, oh, car needs a timeout, and put the car up so she can see it. So what's going to happen is you're going to teach her, if I throw, it goes away. If I throw, it goes away. So finally, when she has nothing else to throw, because you got a whole shelf full of her toys now, she's going to learn. This is where resilience comes. Like, oh, I want my toys back. Okay, well then don't throw. Don't throw. And then when you see her playing nice, reward her. Now remember, nice is like not 2-3 hours later, because she's 19 months, you said. So nice is like in the next 15-20 minutes. Like if she's now playing and you've taken like 5 toys away and now she's playing nice, reward her and say, oh, good job, honey. I like how you're playing nice. Here's Bear back. And then she plays nice for a little bit longer. And then she earns car back, and you just keep rewarding her. So she realizes like, oh, I get to keep my toys if I don't throw my toys. And then if she throws again, oh, we're going to put this in timeout. So that's just one strategy. I have a lot. And again, it just kind of depends on how you answer those questions so I can support you more. Okay. Okay. When I mentioned sharing household responsibilities, when I registered, I was referring more to husband. Awesome. Do you have any recommendations on how to get them on board to help more with the 3-year-old and around the house? I get overwhelmed more when I feel like I don't get help. Perfect. So my question to you would be, how are you communicating with your husband? Okay. So for the women on here who are married or have a partner, the best way to get your husband to do anything is understand that they need to be the hero. So if you're telling them, like, you need to do this, and I'm so overwhelmed, and I can't do this, and you don't even help, all you're doing is blaming. All you've done is blaming. All you really done is said that you're not enough, and you don't matter, and mostly you haven't supported me, and that's one way to kill a relationship. is let your spouse know they don't support you, because all a masculine man wants to do is support his wife. So, and this is what, honestly, this is such a great question, because I was just dealing with this with one of my clients, was the husband and wife. I said, hey, we got to do this coaching before we get the family into coaching, because you guys are not on the same page. And I just said to the mom, I said, what do you need for Mike to know that you are loved and appreciated? What does that look like? And she's like, well, I need this and I need that. I said, okay. And what would that look like? How would he do that? Because I'm going to tell you, if you think that you would feel loved and appreciated, say if he just, cleaned the kitchen and that's all you said. Well, to Mike, clean the kitchen is do the dishes. To you, clean the dishes is wipe down the counters, put all the food away from this morning, do the dishes, and sweep the floor. You didn't say that. So Mike did it through his filters, and he's proud of himself. He's like, I did it. I did the dishes. She's going to love me. And you're like, why does he not share in the responsibility? Why does he not know how to love and appreciate me? I've told him. No, you didn't, honey. You did not tell him. You told him to clean the kitchen. You were not specific. So it's so important if you're saying, in order for me to feel loved and appreciated, I really could use your support. These are very good words, ladies. Write these words down. I could use your support in taking care of Jenny, your 3-month-old, your 3-year-old, your 5-year-old. It doesn't matter what age, right? And say specifically with bath time. If you could just do bath time, which means, honey, you give them a bath, you dry them off, you get them a new diaper, you put their pajamas on, you read them the book, and you put them to bed so I can have 7 o'clock off. It's all me. That is specific. And then you would say to him, Mike, can you please tell me what you heard? And he's going to say, you want me to support you by giving Jenny a bath. And I would say, yes, and I don't want you just giving her a bath. I want you to dry her off. And he's like, yes, dry her off, put pajamas on, read her book, and put her to bed. Hallelujah. He heard you. Now, watch it happen. But now you have to ask Mike, what do you need to feel like my hero? What do you need to feel that I appreciate you? And he says, I just need you to cook dinner. You need to dig deeper. What does that mean? Because that's a guy response. Just make dinner. Okay, does that mean that you want a certain dinner? Do you want me to ask you what you want to make? Do you want to make a menu? Do you want it at a certain time? And when you start to ask more questions, guess what that guy does? He's like, oh gosh, she really cares about me. Like she really, really wants me to feel like the hero. That's how we do it. That is communication. That is, what works. Know their love language. My husband is touch. That is not mine. Mine's acts of service. So when I would get back from a trip, because I do a lot of traveling, because I'm all over the world moving in with families. When I get back from a trip, he would clean the house and fill up my car. I was like, oh my God, like this is not right. Like I'm so loved. I was so missed. And there's times I come back and nothing's done. And I'm sitting down and he's rubbing my shoulders. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I missed you. I just wanted to make you feel comfortable. I'm like, okay, that ain't working. I'm like, but what helped me is if you go and vacuum the living room and pick up all the toys, because I just got home and I did not like stepping into that. So know each other's love language. That is such a key. Know what the formula is. This is like my day 2. I'm giving you guys like nuggets here. Understand each other's formula and work with each other, especially now. Now is the best time to either make your relationship the best it's ever been, or like, I just need to get away from this man. So, I would love to support you guys, like make this the best relationship, whatever that looks like. I told the kids, I said, so mommy has this thing tonight. You guys are going to do movie night while mommy's working. And then you guys are going to go to bed early. Why? Because it's me and daddy night tonight. Okay. Like they're going to bed early because we got to make our time. That's going to be our time now. So you got to be creative and make sure you have boundaries. Make sure you have rules around it. So I hope that helps. And then let's see, 10 to 14 ounces of milk a day. Okay, so we're going back to the milk one. And sure, maybe move away from cow's milk. We'll research. Thank you. Again, if you still want to do it, like my granddaughter's on cow's milk, whatever, like, let her drink it. Like, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, please do your research. Figure out what's going to be best for your child. I can't tell you a comparison because I never had my twins on cow milk and now they're on almond milk. So I don't know. I just did the research before I was pregnant and not thinking I was ever going to have kids again. And then God said, oh, no, we're not going to give you one. We're going to give you two. So then I was like, okay, how do we want to do this? So we just chose to do almond milk. She cries 1 to 2 hours when we really try to teach her and go cold turkey, then give in. Right. So don't give in. Pick one night. Right now we're home. So, I think it's easier right now. Like, to be honest, now's the biggest time to make any changes in behaviors you want to make. It really, really is. Get somebody to hold you accountable, get, a coach, get a friend, get a mastermind group, get something for accountability. Remember I said consistency, follow through, accountability. What's going to be your accountability with following through? Get an accountability buddy. What is it going to take for you to follow through? Maybe you need that person, to take shifts with you. Tonight you're sleeping upstairs with her and, after 2 hours of crying, you're going to tag team and your husband's going to go upstairs and you're going to go downstairs and get a couple hours of sleep. Get creative. Follow through. Follow through, follow through. You will thank me in 3 days. I promise you, in 72 hours, it'll be done. It'll probably be done sooner than that, but I'm just saying 72 hours. So, I think that's it right now. I think that's all the questions. I'm so sorry for going over. I'm like, oh, I could do 45 minutes and I don't know. I hope you guys found this valuable.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was amazing, Veenu. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for everything.
Yes. So if there's anything else, if you guys want me to come back, I would love to come back. If you guys want to contact me, I'm on social media. Everything is Veenu Inspires. It's VEENU. And then Inspires, it's my website, it's my social media. Feel free to reach out to me. Just let me know that you're, one of Anna's peeps, and I'll do what I can to support you. And if you want to give me more detail, right? Because everybody's an individual. Everything I gave you is kind of generic. It was through clients that I've worked with, my own personal experience. And again, you guys might be different. So, I really want to support you guys where you're at. You guys just look at yourself, look in the mirror tonight and say, you are doing a great job. Give yourself grace. Tell yourself you're doing a good job because you are. You are. You're doing great. Right where you're at, you're doing great. So
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
joining us.
Thank you, Anna.
Have a great night. Thank you, Veenu.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.